Alright, y'all, welcome to the All Sports Pass Podcast West. I'm your host, Youth. And of course, tonight, we got some games to predict. Of course, we have all of the Week 11 games, final week of the season, of course. So now, we're going to head on to the playoffs, round number 1, basically Week 12. Let's get right into it. Of course, we'll talk about Horns first. Ended their regular season to travel to Winter City. Unfortunately, to a tough loss, 37-6. Doesn't mean anything though, because the standings are the same. So ours will be traveling to Chattanooga for the playoffs for round 1. Of course, for round number 1, it won't be easy. They'll have to play the Region 4 Division champs of East Hamilton. Of course, meaning they'll have to travel to Ottawa, or whatever you pronounce it, that's how I call it. East Hamilton is a really good team. They would have had a chance to go 4th, but they got everything they needed to be first, and they'll host Horns. Of course, I think East Hamilton is... I don't cover them. I don't cover all the Chattanooga teams, except for teams in Bearden's region, which would be Cleveland and Bradley. But I think East Hamilton is the more talented team. They've had a better season overall, while Horns had some pretty good wins. I'm going to give this win to East Hamilton. Of course, if that's the case, Horns will end their season at 3-8. Hopefully to have a better season if that's the case that season. That's what's about last week's game of the week. It was Jefferson County and William Blount. Jefferson County took home the win. Of course, the final score was 34-14. With this, Jefferson County now travels to Bearden, which we'll talk about later, while William Blount will get to their game later on. But first, we're going to talk about another game that has happened. But before that, we're going to talk about Maryville and Ferreton. Now, this was surprisingly a really close game. Ferreton had a 21-0 lead at the end of the half. Then Maryville came back and won 28-21. So as I said, it's high school football. You'll never know what would happen. Ferreton had a lead. Now they didn't. So Maryville, that's the win here, traveling. Their opponent, they're going to be hosting William Blount. Now, this is because William Blount lost their game in this Jefferson County, so this sends William Blount to Maryville High School this Friday. Now, as expected, this game was played in a jamboree. I think Maryville won. So it is with the same expectations. I think Maryville is the more talented team. 9-1 season, while William Blount finished under 500 in the regular season. I have Maryville winning this game. As for Ferreton, they will be traveling to a team they faced week 1. They are going to be traveling as Dobbs Bennett, which is the same tough travel they had to go through week 1. Now, surprisingly enough, I might actually go to this game due to the fact Bearden plays on Thursday this week. So this could be the game I might go to, despite the fact it's at Kingsport. I think Dobbs Bennett. Now, there's a saying that it's very hard to beat a team twice. However, it might not be within that in 6A Region 2. I think Dobbs Bennett wins this game once again. They just have the home field advantage in general. Now, they had a close game before, but I think Dobbs Bennett pulled it off again. Of course, this will end Ferreton's season at 4-7, I think. Pretty good run with a 4-game winning streak to make the playoffs. But hopefully they can do better next season if they lose. And I forgot to mention, if William Blount loses to Maryville, that will end William Blount's season at 4-7 as well. Of course, with the same expectations as Ferreton. However, if Maryville somehow loses this game, they finish the season at 9-2. Which, disappointing end if that's the case, but I don't think it will happen. I think Maryville moves on. And after 2 weeks of not covering West, I will finally be covering West High School again. As this week, they play David Crockett in the playoffs. Of course, winning the region, good enough for West. But now they have to go far in the playoffs if they want to have a similar season to last year. Of course, as we went through all clear with West's amazing winning streak, I think West is right now the more talented team in this scenario and the home field advantage. So I have West winning this game. Of course, if West somehow loses this game, which I don't think they will end the season at 7-4, which would be a disappointing ending if they do lose, but I don't think they'll lose. Finally, we're going to talk about Bearden. Of course, last week they played Bradley Central. Got away with a win. They won 31-22, despite the fact there has been a couple scenarios in that game where it was a bit messy, but Bearden was still able to pull away with a win. Now this is where we get to the game of the week. Since Jefferson County won, they will be traveling over to Bearden High School for a rematch that happened last year, where Bearden got the win 23-20. Of course, in that game, Daniel Henney made a 50-yard field goal, which would be the longest in school history. Until what happened last week, he made a 55-yarder at his Bradley Central, or 54. It would have been good from like 60 to give a state record in the top 5, I think. So Bearden's hitters is getting better as we go on. I think Tennessee will have to watch out for him, as they've missed plenty of field goals as Kentucky last week. More on Tennessee later on. The post-game video will be coming out this week, hopefully, as last time I didn't make a post-game for Florida. Anyways, both teams have the same amount of talent as we've seen last week. Jefferson County had a great win. But I feel like with Bearden's home field advantage, I feel like they might have the chance to win this game. And they do. I think Bearden wins this game. They'll move on to the second round. However, if Bearden loses this game, they'll end the season at a disappointing 7-4. Definitely not the same season they would have last year, but they've had accomplishments beating West and beating Bradley Central, teams they lost to last year. So a bit of an improvement for Bearden despite the losses to Anderson County and Maryville. But they still had a great season overall if they lose, but I think they'll win. Now I'm going to talk about some teams that ended their season last week. One of them is Hardin Valley, who took a tough loss to Cleveland, I think 28-0. This will put them at 1-9 to end the season. Of course, a worse season than last year when they went 3-7 with wins over Harms and Middle East. But now their only win this season is Ott County, so a bit of a down year. But of course, with the new schedules coming out, they should play more easier teams and hopefully had a chance to have a winning record next year. But we'll see what happens for Hardin Valley coming up. South Doyle also ends this season at home, losing to Anderson County 47-13. Similar team to Hardin Valley, they finished 1-9 with a looks like either the same season as last year or a worse season, as they couldn't beat Seymour. Of course, with the only win being this Austin East. I'm not surprised of South Doyle having a bad season here, but they have the chances to play better teams in their level next season with the hope to get more wins for South Doyle moving on forward. So that's going to be the video. This is the All Sports Pass Podcast West. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to subscribe to the North channel as well. It will help us out. Of course, as heard our most recent video of Dylan Sampson's record-breaking touchdown, that hit 1,000 views on the West channel, so I thank all of y'all for that. The video is also on the North channel if you want to check it out. Your host, Steve, signing out.